Hey everyone, it's me, Lizette Castaneda with Hotel Industry Talk. I am so excited to have a really good friend on here, Tyler Kinkade. Welcome, Tyler, to our talk show today.
Thank you.
You're
What a
welcome.
privilege to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And so we're going to start off with some authentic questions, is what I like to call it, and really just firing off some questions to get to know you better.
Okay.
The first one is, if you had a walk-up song, what would that be?
So I like took me no time to think about this, and I don't know why it came to me so naturally, but it's the song called "What You Won't Do for Love." It's by Bobby Caldwell, and it's like it starts with like these horns, and then he comes on, and he's like, "I bet you wonder where I've been," and I was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's the one." So
Oh my gosh.
if you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend. It's just really fun. I think it's like maybe like the 70s or something.
Oh my gosh, I have it in my head now. That is so good. I love that. Now we're gonna get into like your favorite destination. So I know you travel a lot, you work for a company, which we'll get to shortly, but where's your favorite place anywhere around the world?
Oh my gosh, around the world. Okay, that's a big one. I have not been yet. It is on my list for later this year, but Ireland, like I cannot wait to go there. I think like the food, the greenery, like the lovely people, it seems. I'm excited to travel there. We're going to go there for Christmas a little bit later. But of the places that I've been, I'd have to say, oh my gosh, it's New York City. I don't know. There is something about being in Brooklyn specifically. It's a complete, total opposite, I think, of the vibe of Ireland, but the novelty, right? I think that New York has a lot of the same things that a lot of cities have, right? There's restaurants, there's parks, there's, maybe like a sports team or something. But the thing about New York is that there's so much of those things. So that constant like newness and novelty, being able to like go someplace different every night, being from like the Midwest, that is like mind blowing to me. So Brooklyn's pretty special.
Yeah, I love that. And I love New York too. I would say Ireland's on my list as well.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, did you ever watch the movie P.S. I Love You?
Oh, please.
Yeah.
I can't get emotional this early. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know, I love that. And ever since, there's other movies, of course, and I don't want to offend anybody who is from Ireland, but P.S. I Love You did such a great job at like just pointing out the greenery, and it just made you feel a little bit connected. Awesome. So what is your favorite restaurant? So I know you're based out of Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So you can talk about it there or anywhere around the world.
I think so. Here in Pittsburgh, there is a really special place called Apteka, and it is shout out to Apteka. If anybody's watching this, it is vegan Polish food. They have actually won a couple James Beard awards, so it's really special here in Pittsburgh because we don't have. There's a great food scene, but there's not as many places like that. I think that's been recognized on that level quite yet. There's some more. There's popping up, but Apteka is really good, and I never considered vegan Polish food before going there, and then I was like, wow, this is so good. So Apteka's up there for me. It's actually hard to get into. I don't go nearly enough because there's always a line, but it's always worth the wait. So
awesome. Now, as far as like when you travel, going back to the traveling questions, what are your must-haves in your suitcase or your bag when traveling?
So, well, really, and to your point, I think we travel quite a bit. And as I have gotten a little bit older, those like must-haves have shifted a little bit, and like the number kind of like dwindles a little bit, right? So one is sunscreen. I keep that in my bag all of the time. La Roche. It is with the SPF and it has a little bit of a tint to it. Love that. But overall, I constantly bring one bag with me on all of my travels, and that is the Bagu Crescent Nylon bag. It is the perfect size, and the crescent shape has so much room inside, and like it's like always shocks me how much I can fit in there, like a Diet Coke, my sunscreen, my wallet, my car keys, a notebook, all my lip gloss. Like it just kind of fills and fills, and it's nylon, right? So it doesn't really like it feels indestructible. I never need more than that bag. I feel like I wear it with everything, maybe like to a detriment, but
that's so good. I know.
What's yours?
I think for me, so it's so funny, as you said, the older I get, I wear so many different face lotions. Like, it's insane how much and they're all different. So
Mhm.
I have to make sure I have like all the different core products. And I'm on hooked on Charlotte Tilbury's brand right now when it comes to like face care. So I like have to take all of the things with me, but I'm
Mhm.
not a light packer. As
Mhm.
much as I travel, and I always travel, I never take a carry-on. Like, it's very rare that I have a
Mhm.
carry-on. Like, it has to be maybe a day trip. But if it's
Yeah.
probably more than 2 days, I'm checking a bag. It's
Amen.
it's insane, but that's
Yeah.
just the type of traveler I am. I know Jason's a carry-on who was stuff, and he's like, "You're checking a bag." I'm like, "Yep, I am."
But carry-ons nowadays, it's like at the end of the day, there's no room. They're
Yeah,
gonna check it at the gate anyway. So I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna inconvenience myself and
right.
have to dread it. Like, I just like I know what to expect when I'm checking the bag. So I'm
Yeah,
with you on that 100%.
yeah.
Also, Charlotte Tilbury, like that's why you're glowing. That makes so much sense now.
That's
What
so
a
much.
woman. What a woman.
I know her products are amazing.
You know?
All right, so a go-to quote. Do you have something that you live by, or
Yeah. Yes, I do. That is, I don't know if this is like a famous quote. I mean, I say it all the time, but to me, it is, people do this every day. And I say that to myself
Mm,
probably several times a
good.
week. And I think it kind of regulates me a bit in a way because not with work and sometimes, well, currently even with like my personal life, like the projects I'm doing around the house, and I feel like I'm constantly learning new things. I'm in my early 30s now, so I'm trying to like take on projects that I never would have considered like in my 20s, like a kitchen renovation. And with my new position that I started in July, it's kind of building upon itself, and so it can feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes. And to me, being dramatic, I'm like, oh, this is the end. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, I don't know if I can learn all this. I don't have the time. What if, I bit off more than I could chew? But the reality is that people do this every day, and people just like me are DIYers. They are adapting to like a shifting landscape in their careers, and they're acquiring this knowledge and they're making it work. So I just kind of like can settle down a little bit when I tell myself, yeah, people do this every day.
That's so good. I love that. That is really good. That resonates with me too so much because sometimes I get overwhelmed with all of the different things I am diving into, and I don't have kids yet. So when I think
Yeah.
about like parents who do all of these projects, to your point,
Yes.
they do it every day. So
Yes.
it is definitely motivating. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing.
No, for sure. And honestly, that really is like the other side of it too, is right. Like when I think like people do this every day, it's people who don't have as many resources as I do, or people
Mhm.
who maybe have more hurdles or things to consider or juggle than I do. And so that is kind of the other part of it, is a little bit of humility, I think, in that is like,
Mhm.
okay, people are doing this every day in XYZ. And so
Yeah.
I can adapt. It's gonna be fine. So very, very good point. Yeah.
That's so good. Now let's segue into what it is that you do. You are a hotelier,
Oh
you
yeah.
run a hotelier. So tell us about your background.
Yeah, so I'm assuming most people watching this are in the hospitality industry, so you guys probably know that you can kind of work your way up. Truly, I think working in hospitality is really unique in that way, that it is definitely like an experience based like type of field, right? I mean, would never want to I would never want to downplay the value of like an education, but I think in hospitality, once you start and you're kind of acquiring the skills and understanding how hotels and there's something so I think intrinsic with working in hospitality to who you are. Like if you are warm and welcoming and you enjoy having people and meeting people and hosting or showing people around, I think you're going to go very far in
Yeah.
what that's like the base level, right? So
Yeah.
I actually started working in room service in college at a DoubleTree by Hilton. And from there, I went to like working hotel front desks. And then that is a very, very hard job. So kudos to everybody who started on the front desk or still working the front desk or the front office managers. Like, good for you guys. That is amazing. I did segue into sales from there, like being a sales coordinator, and then eventually a manager, and then a director of sales, and then a regional director of sales, and then a corporate. And now I am the enterprise sales manager for the East Coast for AutoCamp hotels. So me and a team of two other well, now three other people, sell the whole portfolio of AutoCamp properties, and my region is here on the East Coast. I'm based out of Pittsburgh. So that has been it's been a bit humbling in that this is a kind of product I've never sold before. AutoCamp is outdoor hospitality. So as you guys know, coming from a traditional, Marriott's and IHG's, this was like way new to me, very foreign.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of learn, really understand this concept and who it was going to work for pretty quickly. So it's been an adjustment period. It's been challenging, but it's been like so rewarding. And there's a whole other side to outdoor hospitality that is like so pure
Yeah.
and so kind of authentic to the idea of hospitality, which is like spending time together with people and like learning people and knowing people and making memories in a space that kind of feels a little bit more natural than like a boxy hotel. So it's been really special.
I love your product. I was actually taking a look at your social media page for AutoCamp and looking at the Zion photos. And I thought, wow, it's just incredible. And to your point, there's something about connecting with nature that allows you to connect with yourself. And if you're with family, it's even like a deeper connection and reflection. So I think that when companies are looking to stay at your product, there's a lot more that an individual is going to take away, especially when it comes to connecting with themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Something I mention when I'm working with planners and people who are a little bit more familiar with like the traditional hotelscape is that I really do think that hotels, they are just a little bit more naturally like transient in a way. Like you check in at the front desk, you go up to your room, you're maybe down in your meeting space. Sometimes folks will hang out at like the hotel bar, and even though the lobbies and the guest spaces can be designed to be absolutely beautiful and as like warm and welcoming as possible, I think when you're in a traditional box of a hotel, it just feels kind of, you are doing your own thing, right? And so AutoCamp is so different in that what we would consider our lobby, our clubhouses, they are so communal and that people are really kind of spending time together in a way that you don't really see in a traditional hotel. They're around fires, whether that's an indoor fireplace or like a giant fire pit outside. All of our dining tables are long and communal, so people are, I don't want to say forced to be in the same vicinity, but in a way, yes. And all of our individual lounge areas, and it just feels a little bit more natural to approach people in the environments that we've created and like start up a conversation. And I think there's something a little bit, more authentic about sharing like a drink or like a coffee or a beverage around a fire rather than, in like a hotel maybe.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now, for the sales side of things, and when talking to sellers out there, other hoteliers who are thinking about starting their career on the sales side, what advice would you give them?
Oh, I would, I would say, that's a really good question. When I started this, I think that I didn't necessarily anticipate the amount of patience I would have to have, because there are so many working parts when you're working on the sales side, right? So of course we have our own clients and our own goals and all the things that we're considering in the sales office, but there's also a whole other aspect of that, and that is like operations and making sure everything is coming together and making sure that I'm communicating both to my clients and my team about like what's going on and setting these like realistic expectations. And sometimes, there are outside factors that are going to affect, what we can deliver. And so being able to kind of be a chameleon and talking to my operations team and my internal team, and then also to the outward facing client in a way that's gonna, make sense for everybody and be harmonious, and kind of being patient with getting responses back or, problem solving. That's really, really important. And that's something I've learned and I've, really sharpened throughout my career. Especially coming from the East Coast. I think the East Coast people know. Sometimes you got to be a little bit patient.
Yeah, I agree. And that kind of falls into like the other things I was going to ask you as far as qualities, but patience is a huge one. And to your point, we're being thrown so many curveballs all day long. And going back to also like I think about follow up. You know, it's so easy to
Hmm.
have a book of business that consists of 40 plus accounts, and you're just having to follow up with, oh, wait, did I get that contract? Did I share that property list? Did I? And it's so many moving parts. And
Absolutely.
as far as other qualities, what are some things that you think a successful sales leader should have in this role?
Uh, definitely good communication
Yeah.
skills. I remember one of the first management companies I worked for was Ambridge Hospitality. Everybody's probably very familiar. And they had given us a book called Emotional Intelligence
Mm.
2.0. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to read this so quick. And I've probably read it like 3 times. And I always go back and I kind of re-reference it because that is something that I think is so important, and it really just transcends work even. But to be able to regulate and manage our own emotions and kind of keep those, I don't want to say separate, because I think that being emotional at the workplace can be a good thing. I think it, is right in line with like empathy. And so I don't want to say separate it, but be able to balance the two or integrate it in a way that is, healthy and like safe for everybody and is conducive to a good environment is very important. So yeah, being a good communicator, being a good emotional communicator, I guess, or
Yeah, that's
sharpening
good.
emotional intelligence skills. Yeah, I think that that's very important as a leader, because you're gonna have a lot of personalities you have to juggle.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, like, when it comes to us working as well with not just other people, other clients, but like how well we work with teammates. So you
Yeah.
mentioned you're on the East Coast, you have 2 other teammates. How do you guys actually collaborate together?
Yeah, so we're all remote, which is great. We get to see each other a couple of times a year, however, but we are constantly in our Google Chat. Google
Yeah.
Suite is great. So we have meetings also, so many meetings. Weekly, we're kind of constantly touching base and talking to each other about what's working and what's not working, because similar to myself, for them, learning this product was a new experience, and kind of but it didn't like, it's not like it was so hard to understand. It really, the concept of AutoCamp clicked quickly because we understood exactly what the message is. It's just kind of communicating that
Mhm.
to people who haven't experienced it yet, and really kind of understanding like how this can work. So we are constantly working with each other to talk about, yeah, what's working, what's not working, what experiences we're having throughout the week. So yeah,
Great.
where
Well,
we're at.
thank
Mhm.
you so much, Tyler, for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, no, please.
Yeah. And is there anything else you want to leave anyone with before we say goodbye?
Oh, no, no. I think that I would never want to deter somebody from entering into the world of hospitality, or even hotel sales, or hotels in any capacity. But going back to when I mentioned, I think that the very foundation of hospitality is being like welcoming and wanting to know people, and even if they're not necessarily always like in line with maybe where you are, but getting to share like anecdotes and stories, and making people feel comfortable in a space wherever you are, that they're coming into, that's maybe new. I think that is like, if you aren't somebody who really enjoys and other people, I don't think that necessarily um that's like the baseline, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I want to leave people with. If you're a people person, come work at a hotel.
This
You're
is
gonna
it. This is it for you.
have all kinds of people all the time,
Yeah.
all around you. So yeah.
I agree. I agree. And then the benefit too is we get to do stuff like this, right? Like I know you
Mhm.
from working with you in the past, and then now you're working somewhere else and I'm working somewhere else, but we're still connected. And that's one thing I love about the industry is it truly does bring people together.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
yeah, and the connection is just so valuable. So thank
Yeah.
you again for connecting with me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to share this. And for anybody listening, be sure to check out AutoCamp. It's actually a really incredible product. And we look forward to sharing this with you, and have an amazing rest of the day. Bye.
Thanks, guys.